Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Pequignet Concorde 40. This watch is available from Pequignet.com for €4,000. Pequignet are based in Morteau in France. The brand was founded in 1973, so in 2023, to celebrate the brand's 50th anniversary, Pequignet released this piece, the Concorde 40, at Watches and Wonders. The Concorde is also available in a 36mm, and it's available in the following colour options: blue, green, silver, gold, pink and black respectively. Of the colour options, I think this blue version is the best looking. The Concorde takes its name from Place de la Concorde in Paris, which is a famous square featuring the Luxor obelisk. The Luxor obelisk was gifted from Egypt to France in the 1830s, and if you look at the bracelet, which is an obelisk link bracelet, you can see the profiling of the obelisk links is inspired by the Luxor obelisk in the Place de la Concorde. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a watch box, which is housed inside this outer white cardboard box, and as you can see on the lid to the cardboard box we have the Pequignet logo. So I removes the lid, which is a snug fit to the base, pulls down the flap, and inside we have the watch box itself, which I'll take out and show you. So very aesthetically pleasing, white vinyl coated, stitched around the perimeter of the hinged lid, which is spring loaded, Pequignet text logo. And on the front, in the lower right corner, we have the Fleur de Lis emblem and also Manufacture Française. The Fleur de Lis and also the Manufacture Française confirms that this Concorde 40 is manufactured in Morteau in France, and also the movement used, which is the Pequignet Caliber Initial Automatic, is also made in-house in Morteau in France. So one opens the spring-loaded hinge lid. The interior is very well executed. Good quality upholstery, contrasting grey velour fabric to the underside of the hinge lid, and also the base, which also has contrasting orange velour fabric to the two cutouts in the left and the right hand portions. Left hand cutout houses this white vinyl watch roll. Pequignet is embossed, stitched around the perimeter, absolutely flawless. Stainless steel popper securing the flap, and inside it's fully upholstered with grey velour fabric to good standard. And inside we have a padded pillow cushion, which is upholstered with contrasting grey and orange fabric, as you can see. This does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping, but it's also very practical and useful. Nice to see a watch roll included. And the right hand portion houses this padded pillow cushion, which is also upholstered with grey velour fabric to good standard. Good attention to detail, because even the base and also the surround is well upholstered with grey and orange velour fabric. So immediately one gets the impression that the Concorde 40 is a high quality French made piece with a high quality French made calibre. With regards to the items that come with the piece, this is the owner's instruction manual, clear concise diagrams, and the instructions are bilingual both in English and French. They detail the operation of three of their in-house calibers: the Calibre Royal manual and Calibre Initial. This piece features the Pequignet Calibre Initial Automatic, which was produced from 2021 onwards, and it was their third in-house calibre manufactured in Morteau in France. One also gets this plaque, and as you can see, it's made from stainless steel, brushed satin finish, beautiful lustre to it, Pequignet logo. This is actually the warranty card. On the reverse, we have a QR code and the serial number of the piece. So each Concorde 40 features a unique serial number engraved into the exhibition caseback, and there's also a QR code you can scan with your Android or iPhone. This will activate the 5-year international warranty. So to clarify, both the in-house caliber, the Calibre Initial Automatic, and the watch itself are both covered by a 5-year international warranty. I want to give you credit to Pequignet here, because often mid-tier brands, and to remind you, mid-tier is €500 to €5,000 price point, this is €4,000 respectively. Often mid-tier brands only cover their watches with a 2-year international warranty. To get 5 years of international warranty on the watch and 5 years of international warranty on the in-house caliber is excellent, and Pequignet deserve full credit for that. And lastly, one also gets this Pequignet tag, which has the brand logo embossed in plastic, and on the reverse it has the reference number of the Concorde 40 in blue. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 40mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 46.3mm and a thickness of 9.7mm. The obelisk link bracelet is integrated to the head of the piece, and it tapers at its widest point 21.8mm, tapering down to 18.9mm at the 2-button push butterfly clasp. 2-button push butterfly clasp is signed with the Fleur de Lis Pequignet emblem with high definition engraving, beautiful lustre to it. The 2 button push triggers on the left and the right hand flank of the butterfly clasp are mirror polished to flawless standard, no sharp edges, no burrs, and beautiful taper to the obelisk link bracelet. And as I've detailed, the obelisk link bracelet is inspired by the Luxor obelisk in the Place de la Concorde, and this piece, the Concorde, which was released to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Pequignet in 2023, takes its name from Place de la Concorde, hence the name Concord. We have a flat sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the skeletonized baton hands and mirror polished stick indices. I like the dial execution. Quality of the printing of the white minute ticks on the chaptering is sharp and crisp, it's not too thick. The Pequignet text logo has a very sharp, high definition, crisp font. And what I like about the dial is it's minimalist. It's not over branded with unnecessary text and specification. For example, it doesn't say automatic on the dial, it doesn't say 100 meters, which is the water resistance. It simply has the Pequignet text logo at 12. And then beneath the 6 o'clock index on the dial, we have Manufacture Française, and this confirms that this piece is made in Morteau in France, as is the in-house caliber, the Pequignet caliber initial automatic. It's made in Morteau, France as well. So they're very right to print that on the dial, Manufacture Française. And this is something I really like about Pequignet, pieces such as this Concorde 40. We are not looking at a Chinese part watch, which is assembled in Switzerland, for example, with a Swiss caliber such as the Sellita SW200-1. Many mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands, between 500 and 5,000 euro within the mid-tier, use Chinese part watches, and that what they do is they assemble the Chinese parts in Switzerland in order to meet the criteria of 60% of the watch's value being Swiss made, and then legally they're allowed to print Swiss made on the dial at 6, and this is a marketing ploy because in reality it's a Chinese part watch which is assembled in Switzerland using a Swiss caliber such as the SW200-1. With this Pequignet Concorde 40, it's not a Chinese part watch using a Swiss caliber. This is a French-made watch with French parts, and the movement is made in France. The movement is made from Swiss and French parts, but the actual watch itself, the head of the piece, the crown, the dial, the hands, the bracelet and the clasp are made in Morteau in France. This is a real French-made watch, hence it says Manufacture Française on the dial. That's not a marketing ploy. This is really made in Morteau in France. The movement is really made in Morteau in France. My favourite aspect of this piece is the blue dial, which has vertical brush satin finishing. It's absolutely mesmerising. Now, as I've detailed, the Concorde is available in 2 case sizes, 40 and 36 respectively. I previously reviewed the 36mm titanium version. This is the 40 and it's available in the following colour options: blue, green, silver, gold, pink and black. Of the colour options, this blue version is my personal favourite. I absolutely love it. Dial is very well executed. Quality of the mirror polishing to the stick indices is perfection personified. Skeletonized baton hands are correctly proportioned, and the tips are lumed with TC1 Superluminova. The counterbalance is very well mirror polished on the needlepoint second hand, and the second hand extends all the way to the white minute ticks on the chaptering. The tip of the skeletonized baton minute hand extends all the way to the chaptering, so it's the correct length. The skeletonized baton hour hand extends all the way to the applied stick indices. Handset is correctly proportioned, indices are correctly proportioned. Black date wheel with white Arabic numerals is correctly proportioned also. Just bear with me, I'll move the minute hand out of the way so you can see it better. Proportions of the white Arabic numerals are high definition and crisp. The font isn't too thick and blurry. Both the single and the double Arabic numerals on the dates complication are clearly legible. The alignment is correct. The single and the double Arabic numerals are not too far to the left or the right of the date window, and they're not too high or too low in the date window. The framing is correct. And what I like about this piece above all else is how slender the rehort is. If you look at the rehort, you can see it's incredibly low profile. Now, the benefit of this is it improves the legibility and the clarity. When you look at the piece straight on, the sapphire crystal looks invisible. It looks like it's actually touching the second hand on the top of the cannon pinion. This is the benefit of it not having a deep stainless steel rehort. It's very low profile. So the sapphire crystal sits very close to the handset, and it sits very close to the dial, and therefore very close to the date complication. This really does enhance the legibility, the clarity. So very easy to read the time, very easy to read the date, and the other benefit is it doesn't cast a permanent shadow around the date complication. The legibility of the white Arabic numerals on the black date wheel is enhanced because the dial isn't very thick, the rehort isn't very deep, and therefore the sapphire crystal is very close to it. So one gets that excellent clarity, and this is something that Pequignet do and other mid-tier brands between €500 and €5,000 they cannot do. For example, often mid-tier brands and mid-tier micro brands will use the Solita SW200-1, and therefore it has a deeper rehort, and therefore the sapphire crystal sits further away from the second hand on the top of the cannon pinion. It sits further away from the dial, and therefore sits further away from the date complication. Problem with that is it reduces the legibility, the clarity and the functionality of the piece. Pequignet use very slender rehorts, and that's the benefit of this being powered by the in-house caliber, initial automatic, because it's a very low profile movement at only 4.2 millimeters. This piece is also very low profile at only 9.7 as a result. With regards to the case, it looks like Gerald Genter design from the 1970s, but what I like about this case shape is this is an original design to Pequignet. Pequignet were founded in 1973. But this piece is not an homage to a Gerald Genter 1970s piece such as the Patek Philippe Nautilus or the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. This is an original design. The case shape is original, bezel is original, and what I like about it above all else is the obelisk link bracelet, as I've detailed, which is inspired by the Luxor obelisk in the Place de la Concorde. The bezel is solid 3160L grade stainless steel. Longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the top edge. Flawless mirror polishing to the large chamfer, as you can see. And I like the profiling of it because it allows the flat sapphire crystal to project above it. And there's a bevel on the edge of the sapphire crystal which catches the light, very aesthetically pleasing. The case is integrated, and you can see it's solid 316L grade stainless steel, longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the top of the case, and that complements the longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the low profile slender flanks. Screw pins in the integrated obelisk links, as you can see, versus using spring bars. This is higher quality, and what I like about it is it's not thick and slab sided, the flanks are low profile, and there's a large bevel on the edge of the undercuts to the flanks. This deletes the sharp edge. This enhances comfort level and feel good factor. So, bracelet tapers from its widest point, 21.8 at the integrated lugs, down to 18.9 at the 2-button push butterfly clasp. Beautiful luster to the obelisk link bracelet, and the actual obelisk links, the tips of the obelisk links, are mirror polished. I love the way the mirror polishing blends into the brushed satin finishing, which has a beautiful luster. Quality of the mirror polishing on every facet of the obelisk link bracelet is high tier level. This bracelet, in terms of finishing, is €10,000+ level finishing. We are not looking at €4,000 here, we are looking at €10,000+ level finishing to the bracelet. Let's check the execution. Obelisk link end links are a good tight fit to the head of the piece. They articulate freely, they don't feel stiff or kink. They do not have excess play, longitudinal, lateral, side to side or up and down play. This is perfection personified. This is the benefit of using screw bars rather than using spring bars in the integrated lugs, because it tightens up the tolerances to an interference friction fit. They've got the balance perfected because there's no friction. It doesn't feel stiff or kink, but yet articulates freely, rather like a female pivoted end link. It is stellar. The bracelet itself articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. It is silky smooth, but it doesn't feel sloppy, doesn't rattle, and that's the benefit of it being screwed together with 1.2mm screw pins versus using pins and collars, alternatively split pin push pins. This is excellent. So, bracelet is very well finished. Nice large bevels on the top edge and the low edge. That deletes the sharp edges. The bracelet does not pull arm hairs, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. It's not sloppy, so it doesn't rattle. Let's check the other side for continuity. Again, obelisk links in the end link of the integrated lugs articulate freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. Doesn't have excess play, longitudinal, lateral, side to side or up and down play. It is perfection personified. Beautiful luster to the brushed satin finishing. Mirror polishing is done to high tier level, €10,000+ level. Doesn't pull arm hairs, no sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge of the flanks. And the flanks are brushed satin finish longitudinally to a high tier level. This is exceptional finishing. Silky smooth bracelet. Right, so let's look at the 2-button push butterfly clasp in detail. So, engraved with high definition engraving with a fleur de lis. 2-button push triggers are mirror polished to a flawless standard. Both halves of the butterfly clasp open freely. Flawless mirror polishing to the top side, underside and flanks, and the 2-button push triggers are heavily sprung loaded so they feel smooth but also reliable and robust. Nice action to them. Left hand portion is engraved with stainless steel. No sharp edge to the top side and the top edge and the low edge of the flanks. The centre sections have been deburred, so no sharp corners, which is good. Let's check the hinge pins. Left hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play. Left hand inner hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play. Right hand inner hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play. Finally, right hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play. Perfection personified. This is an example to other mid-tier brands and other mid-tier micro brands of how to get a 2-button push butterfly clasp perfected. Doesn't have excess play in the left hand outer, left hand inner, right hand outer hinge pins. All 4 hinge pins have perfect interference friction fits. They're not sloppy, doesn't rattle, but yet closes with a nice positive click. Now it is handed. You have to close the left hand portion first, clicks shut with a nice positive click, and then the right hand portion is handed. It overlaps with the engraved signed clasp. Nice positive click. Opens freely. Very smooth. The underside is also finished to the same flawless standard. The mirror polishing on the underside of the butterfly clasp is outstanding. No sharp edges to it, doesn't feel sharp against the wrist, doesn't feel rough, doesn't scratch. It is finished to €10,000+ level finishing. Right, so let's test the push-pull crown execution. Push-pull crown is knurled finished, solid 316L grade stainless steel, mirror polished cap to it and embossed with a fleur de lis. The fleur de lis is mirror polished to high standard. Nice large chamfer which deletes the sharp tips to the knurled teeth. Correctly proportioned. It's large enough to be grippy and tactile. You can easily get good purchase with your index finger and thumb, but however, it doesn't project too far from the right hand flank of the case, and therefore when you flex the wrist, the knurled crown doesn't dig into the back of the hand. That's the benefit. They've got it right. It looks the right size for a 40mm head of the piece, but it's not too large, it's not oversized. So as it's a push-pull crown versus a screw-down crown, it provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, but when it's in the closed position, one can manually wind the Pequignet caliber initial automatic to its maximum 65-hour power reserve. Now just think about that for a moment. The industry standard for an automatic is 40 hours. This is well in excess of that. 65 hours is incredible specification. To clarify, when the mainspring is fully unwound, when it's fully exhausted and the movement has stopped dead, you can fully wind the caliber initial automatic to its maximum 65 hours with 40 full clockwise turns. In terms of how it feels to manually wind, it feels smooth, doesn't feel rough or gritty, doesn't feel stiff. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up to its maximum 65 hours. In terms of smoothness, it feels smoother than a Solita SW200-1, it feels smoother than a Soprod caliber P024, and it feels smoother than an ETA caliber 2824-2 respectively. I like the smoothness of it, and I like the way the tension gradually builds up to its maximum 65 hours. Putting it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication, and when you rotate the knurl crown anti-clockwise, if you look at the date window, you can see the quick set complication clicks over with a nice positive click. In terms of the sensation, the clicking sensation of the quick set date complication feels similar to an SW200-1, P024 and an ETA 2824-2 respectively. It feels slightly heavier than a Miyota 9000 premium series caliber such as the 9015 and 9039, which you may be familiar with. Feels more like an SW200-1. Nice positive click. You can hear it, it's audible, and you can also feel it. It feels precise, it feels reliable, it feels robust. The alignment is the thing that most impresses me. The Arabic numerals are perfectly centered, both the singles and the doubles. They are always perfectly central in the date window, and they're also perfectly aligned high and low. They're not too far to the top, too far to the bottom, or too far to the left or the right of the date window. Perfect alignment, the font is clearly legible, and I like the use of white Arabic numerals on a black date wheel versus the default option of a white date wheel with black Arabic numerals. Legibility is good. The black date wheel blends better with the blue dial versus a white date wheel with black Arabic numerals. Legibility is good, functionality is good, quick set works well. Pulling it out to the second click position hacks the movement, and if you look at the second hand, you can see it's now stopped dead, so therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with a caliber initial automatic. So we're now in the time setting position. Feels smooth, doesn't feel too stiff, feels very well refined. Now, one can feel the meshing of the gearing has been perfected because you can feel how well the gears mesh against each other. They don't have excess friction, but they don't feel sloppy. There's not too much play. You're not taking up a lot of slack in the meshing of the gearing, but it doesn't feel too tight. So they've got the balance perfected between it feeling smooth and low friction, but it just has enough resistance in it. It feels like a very refined movement. It feels much smoother than the SW200-1, for example, which you may be familiar with, and it feels much smoother than a 9015. And one can really feel the refinement of this being an in-house caliber versus just a movement bought in from Solita or ETA and then modified and decorated. And that's the benefit of this being an in-house caliber. It's the third in-house caliber Pequignet manufactured in 2021. So minimal amount of backplay. When you rotate the knurled crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, there's an almost immediate response to the skeletonized bat on hand. You don't need to take up a lot of slack, and I really like that refinement because with some movements, you have to rotate the crown clockwise and anti-clockwise a lot in order to get the minute hand to respond because there's a lot of backplay, there's a lot of slack in the gearing. This feels tighter. One can really feel the refinement, the meshing of the gearing feels precise, and it feels very smooth. Nice medium resistance. It's not too light and not too heavy, just the right amount. It feels very well balanced. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click and that restarts the movement. Now you can see the second hand begins to sweep around the dial at the characteristic smooth 4 Hz sweep. This is something I particularly like about the caliber initial automatic. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour, which is the frequency of 4 Hz. I regard 4 Hz as the perfect balance between power reserve and accuracy. Often when one increases the power reserve, one has to sacrifice accuracy. And when one reduces the power reserve, one gains accuracy. So one has to strike a balance between the two, accuracy and power reserve. 4 Hz and 28,800 vibrations per hour give that perfect balance. From an aesthetic point of view, the additional benefit is the 4 Hz sweep is very aesthetically pleasing because the second hand sweeps smoothly. With a 3 Hz movement, the second hand stutters or judders around the dial because it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour. 4 Hz is far more aesthetically pleasing. A 4 Hz sweep to the second hand is far more aesthetically pleasing than the stutter or judder of a 3 Hz sweep. The balance is correct. Power reserve and accuracy. We have 65 hours of power reserve here, not 40 hours, but we have chronometer accuracy, which I'll detail when I discuss the movement. So I like it. Right. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, this bracelet has been sized, but it may come as a surprise to you. The bracelet was not sized by myself. This is something I really like about Pequignet, and I want to bring it to your attention because it's very unusual for mid-tier brands. So to remind you, mid-tier is €500 to €5,000 price point. Mid-tier brands rarely offer this service. Pequignet make the obelisk bracelets for the Concord 40 and the Concord 36 respectively to fit your wrist perfectly. When you purchase the piece from Pequignet.com, you can specify your wrist size in centimetres. For example, from 14 centimetres to 22.5 centimetres. And they will produce the obelisk link bracelet perfectly to fit your wrist. So, for example, I asked Pequignet to make this to fit my 8-inch wrist, which is 20 centimetres, and their watchmaker made this obelisk link bracelet like a bespoke tailor-made suit to perfectly fit my wrist. This perfectly fits my 8-inch wrist. The butterfly clasp is perfectly central on the wrist. It's not too far to the 6 and it's not too far to the 12 o'clock side. I can easily slide an index finger beneath the 2-button push butterfly clasp and the obelisk link bracelet. This is the perfect sizing method. The reason why an index finger beneath the bracelet and clasp at all times is the correct sizing method is because it allows for wrist expansion in warmer weather or when one is active. And this is now perfectly sized. The benefit of this is when I took this piece out of the watch box, I put it on my wrist for the first time and I did not have to resize the bracelet myself. It was already sized by Pequignet. And this is what I really like about Pequignet. It's something that other mid-tier Swiss, German and French brands do not do. They do not offer bracelet sizing as a complimentary service. As you can see, the taper is fantastic. Nice aggressive taper, 21.8 at the widest point of the obelisk link bracelet. Aggressive taper down to 18.9. This is fantastic for a 40mm. Now, There are three things I really like about this piece above all else. I've already discussed the rehorts, which is very slender. That is my first favourite aspect. The other aspect, the second favourite aspect, is how low profile this piece is. 9.7mm is incredible. So just think about that for a moment. If this were quartz powered or mechanical manual wind powered, 9.7 would be nothing unusual. It would be nothing special, and therefore it would not impress me. But we're not looking at a quartz powered piece. We're not looking at a mechanical manual wind powered piece. This is an automatic with 65 hours, which is incredible specification. Often with high power reserve automatic calibers, the negative is they need to be thick. And of course, the negative is the case needs to have great depth in order to house the thicker caliber with a higher power reserve. This has 65 hours, but we're not looking at a 13mm thick piece. This is only 9.7, not even 10mm. It's one of the thinnest 65-hour pieces I have reviewed on my channel. It is incredible. As I've detailed, if this were quartz powered at 9.7, it would not impress me, but this is automatic with a rotor. Not only that, it also has a sapphire crystal glazed exhibition caseback. That does add thickness to the piece, and we're not looking at a 50-metre water resistant daily wear piece here. This is 100 metres. It's strong specification. Fantastic. 100 metres water resistant, 65-hour power reserve, automatic, exhibition caseback, but still only 9.7. That's the second thing I really like about it, how low profile it is. It enhances comfort level, it enhances feel-good factor. Thirdly, the thing I really like about this piece above all else is the lack of heft. Even though this has a very long bracelet to fit up to my 8-inch wrist, as you can see. This is only 141 grams. I would expect a 40mm integrated bracelet piece to weigh 150 grams plus in a 40mm case size with an integrated bracelet and butterfly clasp. This is well below the 150 grams sweet spot for a 40mm, 141 grams. The benefit of that is the comfort level and the feel-good factor are enhanced because this doesn't feel like a slab of 316L grade stainless steel, a block of stainless steel sitting on top of the wrist. It curves around the wrist like a tonneau case. And because it's low profile at only 9.7 and because it's only 141 grams with an aggressive taper on the obelisk link bracelet, it feels like a perfectly balanced piece. Comfort level and feel-good factor are maximised. The other thing is it feels invisible on wrist. It feels like a weightless piece. It really does feel like it's not on the wrist. It feels invisible. One of the most comfortable, if not the most comfortable watch I have ever reviewed and ever owned. I have reviewed over 500 watches on my channel. Everything from a €20 Casio F91W to a €24,000 Rolex Sky Dweller inclusive, from low tier to mid tier to high tier. 500 plus pieces. This is by far one of the most comfortable pieces, if not the most comfortable piece that I have reviewed in over 500 pieces. The balance is perfected. The head of the piece perfectly balances the integrated bracelet, perfectly balances the butterfly clasp. Pequignet have got it correct, and this is something that so many mid-tier, 500 to 5,000 euro, French, German and Swiss brands and microbrands cannot get right, but they do get it right. The other thing I really like about the bracelets, apart from visually the aesthetics of it, is the taper. And I'm not talking about the taper in width from 21.8 tapering down to 18.9. I'm referring to the thickness because if you look at the links, they're nice and slender. Often with integrated bracelet pieces, the links are simply too thick in thickness. And at the integrated end, at the lugs, they have too much meat. And the problem is, the bracelet therefore feels too bulky. It has too much meat on it to be comfortable. It diminishes comfort level and feel-good factor. These bracelet links are rather like oyster links or alternatively flat links because they are very thin, as you can see. And the benefit is they wrap around the wrist very well. The articulation is stellar, as I've detailed. It doesn't feel stiff or kink, and it's not sloppy either. But because the links are nice and flat and they're nice and thin like oyster links, they really do feel slender. This bracelet feels silky. So not only does it look fantastic, but it also feels good. This is the feel-good factor, the refinement one gets with a Pequignet obelisk link bracelet that so many other integrated bracelet pieces do not get. Correct. And Pequignet can do it. They can do it better than other brands. It's just fantastic. So let's look at the exhibition caseback. Exhibition caseback is screwed down with 6 flathead stainless steel screws. So stainless steel portion is longitudinally brushed satin finished and the outer circumference of it is mirror polished to flawless standard, engraved with the specification and serial number of the piece. It's glazed with sapphire crystal. Now strictly speaking, Pequignet do not need to use sapphire crystal glazing. They could have used mineral crystal because unlike the front of the piece, the exhibition caseback is not prone to being scuffed and scratched. As per the front, mineral crystal would have been an acceptable production cost-cutting measure. But they haven't done that. They've used sapphire crystal in the front, sapphire crystal in the back. The thing I like about it above all else is the large diameter portion of the sapphire crystal glazing because it displays the in-house caliber initial automatic to good effect. It displays its full beauty, the arabesque finishing, the pelage finishing and the skeletonized rotor with the fleur-de-lis. What I like about it is how low profile it is for a 100-metre screwed down caseback. This is a very flat caseback. We're not looking at a deep bubble back caseback. And again, this is the benefit of it being powered by an in-house caliber, the caliber initial automatic versus using a Sellita SW200-1, for example, which is a thicker caliber with a deeper rotor. Had they used an SW200-1, for example, this would need more clearance around the rotor and the caseback would need to be a bubble back, deeper caseback. But you can see just how flat this is. This is the kind of flat caseback one would expect with a quartz-powered or mechanical manual wind-powered piece, not an automatic with a rotor. What I like about it is how close the sapphire crystal sits to the rotor. It almost looks like it's touching it. That's how close it is. Minimal clearance. And again, this is the refinement that Pequignet are capable of doing that other mid-tier €500 to €5,000 brands and microbrands cannot do. They always have too much clearance between the sapphire crystal glazing in the exhibition caseback and the rotor to prevent the sapphire crystal fouling the rotor on the underside. But this is incredible because it's so close it almost looks like it's touching the rotor. Very close to the caliber. The caliber is very thin, it's 4.2mm, and you can see just how flat it is. This is not a 50-metre water resistant caseback, this is 100 metres. Finished to perfection, mirror polishing is stellar, brush satin finishing is stellar, sapphire crystal is perfectly flat, perfectly smooth. Benefit is, it enhances comfort level and feel good factor. When you wear this piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day, because the centre section is perfectly smooth and flat, it enhances the comfort level. So not only does it look good, it also feels good. Quality of the finishing is high tier €10,000+ level finishing. The obelisk end links in the bracelet are integrated with screw bars and they are finished to perfection. Underside to the head of the piece is longitudinally brush satin finished, nice large bevels to the left and the right hand flanks, and the curved profile to the integrated lugs are also beveled and chamfered to perfection. Stellar finishing, €10,000+ level finishing. Caseback is fantastic, very low profile, and again this enhances the piece because it is only 9.7mm thick as a result. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So this uses TC1, so to clarify, C1 is a whiter tone of C3, which is usually green, but this uses blue TC1. So C1 is lighter than BGW9, so although it's blue, it has a more potent exciter. The C1 is more white than BGW9, and TC1 is the blue version of C1, which is usually green. Right, so as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. Now, one has to realise, one has to be realistic. This is skeletonized baton hands. They've loomed the tips of the hour hand and the tip of the minute hand. One doesn't have a large area, a large plot as per snowflake hands or Mercedes hands or even full baton hands. They've simply loomed the tips of the skeletonized hands, and of course one has to be magnanimous because skeletonized hands do not have a large area for the TC1 to be applied. But nonetheless, we're clearly looking at 5 to 6 layers on the hour hand, 5 to 6 layers on the minute hand. Stellar performance. The potency of the exciter is very strong. It's got a nice bright tone to it, and you can see the TC1 is slightly whiter. It's a lighter blue than BGW9. In terms of performance, it has brighter potency. So initially it has a brighter glow, but also the longevity of it, how long it glows, is extended. It performs better. TC1 is higher performance than BGW9, rather like green C1. So as you can see, excellent. Perfect colour tone match in daylight. The tips of the skeletonized baton hands are white. And all in the dark, we also have a perfect colour tone match of the TC1. Same blue on the hour hand, same blue on the minute hand. Now, of course, one could subjectively be critical and say, well, they could have applied Lume to the stick indices. and that would have made it better because you could read the time in the dark, because you'd have something to register the skeletonized hands against. But subjectively, one could argue the stick indices are aesthetically pleasing for a daily wear or dress piece. If they added Lume to it, it would spoil the stick indices, which are mirror polished to perfection. It really comes down to whether you like Lume on the dial or not. I personally like the mirror polished stick indices with the absence of Super Lume Nova, but you can see performance is excellent. And one has to be realistic, as I've detailed, because we're not looking at full baton hands. They are skeletonized baton hands. But the tips are loomed with 5 to 6 layers. So point is, no cost cutting measure in order to reduce production cost per piece and maximise profit margin per piece. Clearly 5 to 6 layers of TC1 on both hands. Right, so let's discuss the movement used, because this is my favourite aspect of the piece. Above all else, this calibre fully justifies the price point of this piece. So, to remind you, in 2011, Pequignet became a manufacturer, and what that means is they began to manufacture their own in-house calibers. The movement used in this piece is the Calibre Initial Automatic, which they produced from 2021. It was their third in-house calibre. And what we're looking at with this calibre is peak Pequignet. It is one of the greatest calibers they have produced. Technically, it is excellent. 65 hours is incredible for a movement that is only 4.2mm thick. Often with high power reserve movements. So to put this into perspective, 40 hours is the standard, the industry standard for automatics such as the SW200-1, the P024 and the ETA 2824-2 respectively, which you are all familiar with. 40 hours is the standard. This is 65. Now, when you increase the power reserve of a caliber, it needs a larger mainspring and barrel. And of course, when you have a larger barrel, you have to increase the thickness of the caliber. The movement becomes deeper, becomes thicker. That's the negative. Pequignet have not done that. This is very low profile. This caliber is only 4.2, which is incredibly thin. Benefits of it being incredibly thin at 4.2, as I've detailed, is this piece is only 9.7mm thick, and it's 100 meters with an exhibition caseback. Very impressive. Now, it has 21 joules. It runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Has hand winding and hacking, which use for complications, and a quick set date complication, which works well, as I've demonstrated. Pequignet regulate this caliber in 6 positions. So to put this into perspective, chronometer grade calibers are usually regulated in 5 positions to chronometer accuracy, which is -4 to +6 seconds per day. Pequignet go one better. This isn't regulated in 5 positions, which is the chronometer standard. This is regulated in 6 positions, which is the ultimate standard. They're regulated in 6 positions to -4 to +6 chronometer accuracy, and they exceed that. This one is running consistently at +2 seconds per day when fully wound to its maximum 65 hours. Needless to say, +2 is well within chronometer limits of -4 to +6. It actually exceeds it. So not only does this have an incredible 65-hour power reserve, not only is it incredibly thin at 4.2mm, it also is chronometer accurate at +2 seconds per day. As I've detailed, often high power reserve movements with 65 hours, they sacrifice accuracy, because when one extends power reserve or increases power reserve, one has to sacrifice accuracy. When one reduces power reserve, one increases accuracy. This has an increased power reserve of 65 hours, but it still retains chronometer accuracy in 6 positions to +2 seconds per day. Stellar accuracy, stellar power reserve. If you look at the rotor, you can see it's skeletonized, and it's rhodium plated, and we have an embossed fleur de lis. And this denotes that it's manufacture française, and therefore the movement, the in-house caliber, is manufactured in Morteau, France. The fleur de lis is the emblem of Pequignet. The skeletonized rotor is finished to high tier level, 10,000 plus euro level. It's also engraved with 21 ruby, which denotes 21 joules. The fleur de lis, which is embossed, is finished to perfection. The bevels on the skeletonized cutouts is finished to perfection. Main plate and bridges are finished with arabesque finishing and pelage finishing. This arabesque finishing is some of the best arabesque finishing I have ever seen on a movement. The only other brand that I've seen use arabesque finishing like this is Amiga with the Seamaster Professional 300M. That has similar arabesque finishing on the bridge of the movements, but this arabesque finishing is just stellar. It is 10,000 plus euro level finishing. Also on the bridges we have pelage finishing, which is high definition. It's just incredibly decorated. Both the arabesque finishing and the pelage finishing is just an absolute delight to look at. It's just fantastic. So this is mesmerising to look at. It's an absolute pleasure to take the piece off the wrist and view the in-house calibre through the exhibition Caseback. So, third in-house calibre they have produced. It's been in service or in production since 2021. So at this stage, it has 5 years of service and it is reliable. Its reliability is proven beyond question. It's also covered by their 5-year international warranty, and often with in-house calibers that is the concern. They're not well proven, and of course the concern is the lack of warranty. For example, often mid-tier brands will only cover their watches with a 2-year international warranty, and the movement is only covered by a 2-year international warranty. Often in-house calibers are a risk because the reliability can be a concern with a relatively new caliber. This has been in service for 5 years, the reliability is therefore proven, and it's also backed up with a 5-year warranty, which of course adds value to the piece. Very unusual to see 5 years of warranty on a €4,000 piece with an in-house calibre. So, beautiful movement to look at. Sapphire crystal glazing, the exhibition Caseback does a good job of displaying it. Looks good, technically excellent, no negatives to it whatsoever, 65 hours plus 2 seconds per day. So, lastly I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So, mid-tier piece. Mid-tier is €500 to €5,000. This is €4,000 respectively. Pequignet have undervalued this piece. Yes, it is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value at €4,000. If this were €6,000, if this were €8,000, even if this were €10,000, I would still declare it excellent quality and excellent value. Pequignet have undervalued this piece. What we're really looking at is not a €4,000 piece. This is a €10,000 plus euro quality level piece, made in France with a made in France in-house calibre. To remind you, what we're looking at here is not a Chinese parts watch which is assembled in Switzerland with a Swiss calibre such as the SW200-1 in order to meet the legal criteria of 60% of the watch's value being Swiss made, and then Swiss made being printed on the dial at 6 as a marketing ploy. This says manufacture française. That means this watch is entirely made in France, in Morteau, from French parts. The movement is also manufactured in-house in Morteau in France using Swiss and French parts to the movement. It's not a Chinese part watch assembled in Switzerland for a marketing ploy of Swiss made on the dial. It says manufacture français because it really is manufactured in Morteau in France. Both the watch and the movement. That adds value. Not only that, but it also has 5 years of warranty on the watch, 5 years of warranty on the calibre itself. This is a 10,000 plus quality level piece as a result. Pequignet have retailed it at only €4,000, €6,000 undervalued. So therefore, needless to say, I'm not only going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money, I'm going to declare this the ultimate champagne watch for lemonade money. It cannot be beaten at €4,000. At 6,000, 8,000 or even 10,000, it would be the ultimate champagne watch for lemonade money. I like this watch so much, in fact, I have decided to add it to my own personal collection, and that really is the highest compliment I can pay a watch. This watch is the ultimate champagne watch for lemonade money. I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Pequignet Concorde 40. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.